want to welcome all of you to Public Interest Project's first ever Donor Learning Institute. This is not your typical funder gathering. We are really hoping that over the next 2 days, we're going to create a space that really provides folks with an opportunity to talk about really strategic, concrete tools that will help us to think differently about our grant making, because the reality is that we are in very challenging times, and for social justice philanthropists and advocates, the situation has become quite dire. And so we're hoping that in this space, working with all of you, we'll be able to creatively think about a different way in which we can think of our work. So this is also an important moment. We have the upcoming elections, which will undoubtedly have an impact on all of our work in the next number of years and beyond. And of course, the challenges in the field have never been greater. I don't want to sound so doom and gloom, especially with the weather the way it is today. And the reality is that there are some really exciting opportunities and exciting new relationships and alliances that are forming in the field that really make us very hopeful. So, you know, we will focus on challenges, but also definitely look forward and think about what the opportunities are, where the innovations are, so that we can take advantage of those opportunities. So the Institute sessions are designed to be very interactive, and they cover a number of social justice issues, but really they're going to be centered on key strategies that we feel are necessary to advance our work.
We've brought together some of the most distinguished leaders in the field, both young and old, to reflect on key lessons that they've learned and sharing what they've learned with their work, how they're breaking silos and building alliances for a more powerful progressive movement. We've also, as you note, have incorporated arts and culture from our beautiful painting for the conference that Fabiana Rodriguez has done for us, to the role that performances throughout of poets, artists, musicians, comedians. The comedian tonight, she is going to have you laughing and really thinking about some of the issues that we care so deeply about. And finally, we decided that after 20 years, and this really ages me in philanthropy, of attending conferences where only funders are talking to themselves, I guess we decided that's not a very productive thing to do. So unlike a lot of funder meetings that you've been to, we have invited our colleague advocates, our grantees, yay! So that we really have a rich, deep, productive conversation about what it's going to take to move our issues forward.
Okay. So why is Public Interest Projects doing this meeting? So we feel that we occupy a really unique space in philanthropy, both because we're a grantee and we're a donor, right? And so we, because of that kind of hybrid relationship, have been able to really develop strong partnerships with both donors and grantees, many of whom are here today. And this meeting is going to build on those relationships, our 10 years of experience also in managing collaborative funds. And in fact, in those 10 years, we've developed and led 10 collaboratives, we've engaged over 140 funders, and we've done work in 37 states. There are 3 key strategies that are going to, as I mentioned before, that are going to frame the Institute. So 1 is collaboration, 2 is alliance building, and the 3rd is capacity building. And with that in mind, our goal is going to be to explore the following questions. 1 is, how can we promote and support collaboration, the field, and in the philanthropic sector? 2, how we can nurture and support alliances that are built on the ground and to date with very little resources. And then the 3rd is how we can assure that the groups we expect to carry the banner and values of social justice have the internal resources they need so that they can grow and stay strong over the long haul. In these challenging times, I think a lot of folks have been shifting their focus, and the value of pooling and leveraging resources has been magnified. This is something that we've been championing for years. We've always been like strong super believers in collaborative funds, even back. So my daughter is 17, which is when Michele and I met back 17 years ago. And since then, we've been participating in all kinds of different types of collaboratives. And then when we came together in Public Interest Projects, that was something that we definitely put kind of front and center in our work, because we feel that it's a really critical thing for funders to be coming together to strategically think about how they do their work, how they pool their resources, how they coordinate, even if they can't pool their dollars, in order to do better grant making.
Sure. And so another strategy that we've really thought about a lot is the interconnectedness of the work that's happening. So a lot of us as funders operate in silos. One of the most important things we want to get out of this meeting for everybody is folks on the ground have broken out of silos a long time ago. And we as funders need to break out of our silos and understand that the work is so connected and that we need to be as supportive of the groups on the ground as they are of us. The other worldview that we have, if you'll allow us to indulge and say that we have a worldview, is that we care about the capacity of our grantees. Many of you know in philanthropy, we love to fund programs, we love to fund the next hottest thing, but we forget what it takes to be able to run those organizations. So we started right off the bat with our collaborative funds of marrying program grants with capacity building grants. We feel really strongly about it. For a long time, some of our funders would yawn when we talked about making some capacity building grants because it wasn't that interesting, but I think things have turned. We've noticed there's been a huge turn in the philanthropic community, and I think people understand that folks need the capacity to do it for the long haul. And the other thing that has come to us over doing these 10 years of 10 collaborative funds is that it's not enough to support capacity when we do it, capacity building work, for just one group at a time. We care about how the groups grow, but we also care how they grow as a field and how they relate to one another as a field. So the capacity building that we've invested in is not just individualized. It is, we want that group to be strong, but we really care if a field or a movement of groups does well. And even though, as Berta said, these are really scary times, we're hoping that the meeting will be forward-thinking and positive. There is a lot of great work on the ground. We really think that there are great opportunities and great strategies out there. We know that the election will determine, for good or for bad, how things happen, but you know what? There's a lot of good stuff on the ground, and we need to keep focused on that.
Okay, so before going into housekeeping, I just want to once again thank all of the panelists who have given up of their time to come and be with us today and participate in this meeting. I also want to thank the Public Interest Project staff, and that includes staff and consultants who work closely with us, because one of the things that we 6 years ago made a deliberate attempt to do was to not just preach about alliance building, but to internally think about how we do our work and how our programs are connecting with each other. And so this really truly is a collaborative effort from our staff. Everybody pitched in all kinds of ways, so I just want to thank all of them. And then with that, let me just tell you a little bit about housekeeping. So who's in the room? Today we have 60 funders, 36 advocates and thought partners, and then there's Public Interest Project staff. You will notice that Public Interest Project staff have the PIP, the Public Interest Project's logo on it. So if you need anything, if you have any questions, please feel free to turn to any one of them for those. Even though, obviously politics is the reality we live in and the work that we do, and we'll talk about some of that, and legislations, ballot initiatives, all of that will come up, and the election is coming up. Let's just remember that this is a nonpartisan meeting. Then we have our videographer, Will Coley, who's on the premise. Oh, I'm stepping into yours. Okay. And he's going to be recording today's meetings. So we're doing that just so that we can make sure that we capture the valuable set of conversations that are going to be happening over the 2 days. And for donors who weren't able to join us, to be able to share that information with them. If there's anyone who doesn't feel comfortable with that, who doesn't want to be video recorded, please let us know, and we'll make sure that that doesn't happen.
So there's a resource table in the back that we've put together some resources from the grantees. Restrooms are through this door here. Finally, I'm going to let Berta talk about tweeting, because I don't tweet, but we want you to tweet. So Berta, instructions on tweeting.
Okay, so in your packets, I know that there are different levels of comfort in terms of social media. We are interested in having folks communicate through Twitter. We've created some guidelines. They're in your packets that will help you if this is new to you. And if it isn't, you'll see in the same information sheets that our handle's included and also a hashtag for the Institute. So we encourage as many of you as are interested to join us in a conversation about the topics that come up over the next 2 days and to just share your thoughts and reflections.
And finally, I have the pleasure of, to kick off the meeting, to introduce a video that Will helped us produce, where some of you have been interviewed to talk about what are they hopeful, folks are hopeful about, how do they describe their mood. And so this video really is going to set the tone for this whole meeting. So we're ready for the video.